Hey folks, welcome back. Today I want to talk about making lids and knobs for jars. So I've made this jar, it's dried a little bit. I've made a flange and I've measured from this area to this area with calipers. Now since it's dried a little bit, it's actually shrank. It's very important to remember to actually measure right after you make it. Making a lid is relatively simple. You want to center it up high. And open up the most shallow little bowl you've ever made. I like to collar it in just a little. And go ahead and just pull like you're throwing a little bowl off the hump. Out. You want to keep a nice curve if possible. A flat lid potentially can collapse or deviate in the high firing, so it's important to maintain a slight curve. And I also make the lid generally much wider than I need to and then cut it back. So you can see I need to cut about a ½ inch of clay. I'm going to do that with a needle tool from the inside out. Just draw one line. I'll go ahead and measure, just double check. It's the construction motto is measure twice, cut once. Okay, that looks pretty good. And just follow through. You're going to want to round this edge up. This is a high impact area. And remember, this is the inside of the lid. We're going to be flipping this over, trimming it, and adding a knob, which I'm going to show you how to do in just a moment. Okay, when cutting it off, just use a needle tool. It's going to make trimming a little bit easier, or an angle stick, and give yourself a little bit more room than you think you really need. You can see how it just comes right off of there. Set that aside, let it get the same consistency as the jar and or teapot. But when making jars, you're also going to need some type of knob or finial, and you can throw those right on the wheel as well. What I like to do instead of going straight down the middle is just move my finger towards 6 o'clock a little bit and then push down. You can see how that clay wants to escape. Just feel like you're making a little drawer pull. And then use your needle tool and cut it off. I'm going to make a little bit taller of a knob this time. Sometimes you really don't know what knob is going to look right until you put it on there. This one is ridiculously tall, but who knows, maybe it'll work. Some people even make hollow knobs, like they're making a tiny little pot. This is generally better for bigger lids, bigger jars. Notice how the RPMs of the wheel is up. When I'm throwing off the hump right in the middle, just like I'm making spouts, I like to keep the wheel speed high. You can see now we have a nice enclosed round knob. It's a good idea to poke a little hole in the bottom of those. You can see I have one already in there. It's also going to reduce the weight. Sometimes I also like to throw the knob and the lid at the same time, and then I don't have to worry about slipping and scoring that knob on there. I can go ahead and check my measurement. I know I have to come out just a little way, so what I'm going to do is start with the knob and then apply pressure down. These type of lids are pretty nice for teapots. They have a lower center of gravity. So what I'm going to do is just pull this up. And then I'm just going to pull this section out. This way the lid just really won't fall out as easy. There would be nothing worse than pouring your grandmother a cup of tea and having the lid fall out on the table. These would be flipped over and trimmed or hand trimmed. But there is always some excess clay on the bottom. Now I quickly want to take the rest of this clay and show you how to make the flange. Step number 1, step number 2, number 3 is collaring. Just making a fictitious jar here. Okay, let's just talk about the flange. When I'm pulling, I generally like to stop just about a ½ inch from the top, leave it a little bit thicker here. Go ahead and just belly it out just a little. Okay, so we need the lid to sit inside here, so I like to support on the outside edge. And with my index finger, or whatever finger you're comfortable with, apply pressure down. You want your hands working together. And you can see that's making what we call a gallery, or a flange. A place for the lid to sit. That's a pretty easy way to go. I'll show you another way. This way we're just going to be taking an angle stick. I'll just make a line right down the middle. And I'm just going to cut it straight down the middle. Just about a ½ inch or so. And I can take the inside lip that's created from the split rim and just push that down. Makes a nice edge to measure to. The gallery doesn't have to be that wide. This way works really well. Or if you've tried both of these and you're just struggling, you can literally just take a trimming tool and just hold it really steady and just start chopping clay out of the middle. This way, since you're using a trimming tool on plastic wet clay, it's a little sloppy, but it can easily be cleaned up. And one of these techniques is going to work for you. Remember, you want to measure from corner to corner, and using these techniques you should be able to make a nice jar and or teapot.